Welcome back, everyone, to East Got Game, where we give you the X's, the O's, and the insights of NBL1 East. Thanks for joining us tonight live on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And remember, you can follow us on those platforms at East Got Game, or you can continue to find our episodes on your preferred streaming platforms later. While you're there, check out Cut to the Jace, a podcast featuring the Bankstown Bruin himself, but is temporarily sidelined with injury and looks like he's busy doing some other roles, which is very cool. Jason Kadee, of course. And it's A Cole World, a podcast by WNBL champion Beck Cole, both brought to you by basketball.com.au. Lockie, here we are again. Can you believe that the season is really getting into the crunch time?
There's only 2 rounds left, Squin. It's really coming down to it. I mean, well, it'd be nice if some teams actually acted like they wanted to make finals, because it seems like everybody's saying, no, you, please, take the final spot.
Yeah, we're just way too nice down here sometimes. Just letting everyone have a turn of making this competition a little bit more tense and exciting. Everyone sharing around the wins. But yeah, I beg to differ. I mean, find another conference that's more exciting than the East.
Can't do it.
Can't do it. Absolutely can't do it. But yeah, 2 rounds to go is unbelievable. I don't know. I just feel like the competition every year, the league every year just goes faster and faster.
Yeah, it feels really quick this year. I don't know what it is. It's funny because like nothing's changed. I commentated every round of last season. I commentated every round of this season. Nothing's changed. It just feels like it's gone by really quickly.
Maybe we're just getting too used to it. Also, I think, speaking of commentating, we do have to apologize that we didn't have an episode last week. We did plan to have an episode, but a couple of emergencies came up, so we weren't able to have an episode. And I was also on other commentating duties last week and will be next week. So we will have another special guest co-host next week, but apologies there wasn't an episode last week. I mean, ball is life, and sometimes we've just got a ball elsewhere.
Fair. That's and I mean FIBA World Cup. That's pretty impressive, Squid.
Yeah, thank you. I was very lucky to commentate the FIBA U17 Basketball World Cup that was in Turkey, and very easy. I wasn't in Turkey. I was just doing it from my bedroom, thankfully. I mean, I would have loved a paid trip to Turkey. Not that would probably happen, but that's also okay. There were some great games, though. There's some, thinking that they're only 15, 16-year-old kids, 17-year-old kids. There are some really outstanding athletes, and these tournaments, whether it's the U17 or U19 FIBA Basketball World Cups, are the perfect way to identify the next great talents. There was a guy from Serbia whose last name was, now it's testing me, Koristika. I stuffed that up. But he was Defensive Player of the Year. He was in the All-Star 5. He's really special. He's been training with Barcelona since he was like 14. Then there's another guy from Turkey whose last name is Kortalay. His dad was a professional player back in the day. He's also really special and made the All-Star 5. So it was really cool just to see talent from around the world before they become mega famous.
Yeah, good.
Yep. Then we got the U17 Women's Basketball World Cup starting this Saturday, and the Aussies are looking pretty good. So keep an eye out for them. Lots of COE women in that team.
Yeah, I think 7. I think was my last count.
Yeah. But yeah, good times, very good times ahead. But we are here to talk about NBL1 East. Like we said, the drama just keeps dramaing. The excitement just keeps exciting. It's never predictable in this league. But let's talk about our discussion points that you very kindly prepared for us. Let's talk about some of the men's teams stumbling into the finals, if you put it. Manly and losing to Sutherland is the first cab off the rank.
Well, Manly have qualified for finals, but in losing to Sutherland, they're now only one. They've only got one fewer loss than Sutherland. Both Sutherland and Manly both have a pretty tough run home, but still they've just let themselves come back to the pack a little bit. And I was up there calling that Manly Sutherland game, and Sutherland, they put the clamps on Manly Warringah from the start. So perhaps a little something for future opponents to watch is how Sutherland, especially how Ryan Abbott guarded Quinn Slazinski. He was really physical, really aggressive, right up on him at all times. And if the refs, are letting them play, just keep going. And that's what he did. He didn't get called for many fouls, so he just kept defending really tightly and, did a really good job on him. So maybe something for other teams to keep an eye on.
Little bit Detroit Pistons inspired.
Oh, maybe a little, but no, all above board. All above board, very clean, just, not giving him any space whatsoever.
But yeah, I mean, we're not going out there being violent, but certainly challenging Quinn a lot more with that physicality like you described, because sometimes it can just be mentally disruptive enough to try and get someone off their best game. But yeah, that was a really big result as well. And we've also got Maitland losing to Hills.
Yeah, real interesting one. 82-72, the Hornets got up in that one. I think, if I remember correctly, Saxon Elisini, our boy, Saxon, went off with 21, getting the win, taking advantage of Rain Smith's absence. Of course, Rain getting the late call up to the Boomer squad when Elijah Pepper had to pull out. So he's been over there taking on Guam and the Philippines. So, Hills saw their opportunity and got it and kept themselves in, not just, making things tougher for Maitland, but keeping themselves just barely in the finals race as well. It's going to be a tough old slog for a team like Hills to make it, but the win keeps them in it because they'd be gone if they didn't win that one.
Yeah, they had also Edward Carr on 11 and 6 and 4 and 2 steals and 3 blocks. So just doing everything. And Meekness Payne had a big game, 26 points and 11 rebounds. And for Maitland, they still had 4 players in double digits. Miles Cherry really came alive, which I love to see. 20 points and 16 rebounds in 29 minutes. Cranston Lown on 26 and 8. Billy Parsons a quiet 11 and 10. Matt Gray, though, only having less than 15 minutes in that game, which was probably surprising.
A little bit, yeah. But, I mean, Maitland, they're 10 and 7, so they're still on the right side of the ledger, but, didn't do themselves any real favors.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, that was another shake-up. And then Central Coast losing to Hornsby, a Hornsby side without Dave O'Hickey.
Without Dave O'Hickey and without Will Johnston.
Yeah.
Because, Jackson Smythe, Daniel Titus, and Martez Brown all put up 20-plus points. Martez Brown finished with a double-double. And, Central Coast, Young and Mateo Maker, 21 points, 24 rebounds. And Tommy Akamamoy 15, but just not enough help from everyone else. And unfortunately for the Crusaders, who they're sitting 9-9, and probably if they look at the rest of the games that happened this weekend, they probably are breathing a sigh of relief that a few other teams lost.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe the odds fell in their favor a little bit there. Interesting that Sharif was a DNP, so I'm not sure if he's injured or just was unavailable for the day.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah.
And Crew just struggling from the 3-point line that game, 4 from 20 20% overall from the field, which is kind of unlike them. Luke Cassidy only had 4 attempts as well.
Yeah, 0 of 4, and Tommy 1 of 6. So I mean, yeah, apart from Hayden Gunderson hitting 2 of 3, it was not a really good night for anybody.
Gundo, underrated.
Big time.
But Tommy's been having a really good season, a lot more consistent scoring from him. And look, in the nicest way possible, 3-point shooting hasn't always been his strength anyway. So maybe shooting 6 threes is not ideal. But, you know, I don't know what Coach Miko has instructed him to do. But, yeah, he's been coming up. He's been really handy for Crew this season.
Yeah, he was really big for them in the game down here at Sutherland where they got the win over the Sharkies. He was massive on me in that one. So, yeah.
And then we've got Inner West losing to Newcastle and Sutherland. I feel like Inner West losing to Sutherland wasn't as surprising maybe as...
I mean, it's not surprising, but after losing to Newcastle the previous day, it just kind of compounded things to go 0 of 2. Having the chance after Central Coast lost to Hornsby to, you know, tie things up and then losing to, I guess losing to Sutherland makes the upset loss to Newcastle a whole lot worse kind of thing.
Yeah, certainly. Like Sutherland Sharks, you know, it was a comfortable win against Inner West Bulls. And that Newcastle game, I think some of the clips that I saw, it looked a little bit, a lot of back and forth, a lot of kind of, I don't know if it was just a coincidence that some of the clips I saw from this game online where lots of people were falling over.
I did, yeah, didn't, or was that one on the Sunday? No, it was on the Saturday that the game was delayed due to the court being damp. Sure, I saw James O'Donoghue. I'm pretty sure James O'Donoghue posted that. He was there shooting and said that the Sydney Uni court, the men's game was delayed because of moisture.
This sounds familiar, doesn't it, Lockie?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, perhaps next time we might need to send a trigger warning when we speak about the slippery court at Sydney Uni for some listeners who have experienced the wrath of that. So that's disappointing. They've got to try and get a handle on that before. I mean, it's just like our version of the NBL decal fiasco.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I don't remember it happening in the summer during WNBL games at Sydney Uni very much. So maybe just the cold weather is cold weather, humidity. There's been rain around, exacerbate everything down in that concrete box that is New Balance Stadium or whatever they call it at the moment.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. You're right. I don't remember it being an issue in summer either. And they have scrimmages there of a morning as well at that venue.
Yeah.
And then we've got to talk about as well the Gunners losing to North. Now, it was going to be a pretty tall order for the Gunners to get on top of North. It's obviously not impossible, but especially coming at this time of the season for the men's team, it's a pretty tough game to lose at home with 2 rounds to go.
Yeah, just really suffering without Glenn Morrison, I think. They've lost their last 5. They're 10-8 now. But you'd still back them to make playoffs, especially they play Albury-Wodonga this weekend. You'd expect them to win that game, although it's not going to be easy. Albury-Wodonga have played a lot of teams tough, even though they've only won a couple of games all season. But, things just not panning out for the Gunners this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, but looking at the quarter-by-quarter score, though, Gunners won the first quarter 26-20. Second quarter was 20-21. Third quarter was 19-20. So it was really even for the first 3 quarters. But then uncharacteristically, the Gunners couldn't close it out. They lost the fourth quarter 5 points to 20. Just completely dried up.
That is the most un-Gunners fourth quarter I can imagine. 5 points for the Gunners in a fourth quarter.
But then the last game that we reviewed, that was one of their games. I think there was also a big stretch perhaps I can't remember if it was in the third or fourth quarter, where they just completely dried up their scoring options. I think they went for ages without a score.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's, the one thing they've many things to hang their hat on, but one thing they hang their hat on has been that late game performance where they don't drop off. And yeah, it's one thing that's kind of deserted them of late.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And Darnell Hoskins Jr. had a big game this one, 25 points. And I'm just trying to look at who was next in line with shooting the most baskets. So Mayfield had 16 attempts. He was 4 from 16. Will Rice then had 10 attempts, and Tui only had 7. So I wonder if there needs to be a little bit of tweaking around who's taken what. Because when you look at the North kind of list, you've got Iggy Mitchell taking 14 points, 14 attempts, Chris Lovich on 13 attempts, Boffinger 12, Bailey Hansen 17. Goodrick only played just shy of 22 minutes and had 10 and 13, and he only had 7 attempts. So, yeah, maybe the distribution needs to be kind of,
Yeah. Too unselfish, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. So I'm just going to have a quick look now at the ladder because, like we said, 2 rounds to go. Gunner's now in 7th. And Maitland, despite the loss to Hills, in 6th, but they have only played 17 games and Gunners have played 18. But it's still Hawks, Bears, Sea Eagles, COE, and now Sharks, Maitland, Gunners, and Crew. Pretty solid. I think is it likely that it would stay like that for the next 2 rounds, but perhaps the positions will just change?
I think, I'm feeling that. I think you're pretty much counting on Inner West to get over Norths if they want to, give it a shake. They've got Norths and Manly in their last 2 games to Inner West. It'd be tough for them to win both of those. And I think you're going to need at least 10 wins. I think Central Coast are going to get at least 1 win. And then, there's a lot of teams there on 7 and 10 that'll say, yeah, we can win our final 3 games and, make a run at it. But I don't know. I think it'll be these 8 teams, and the order might just change. Yeah,
sounds good. Yeah. I mean, like we said, anything can happen in the final 2 rounds of the East. But to the women's competition now, Hills all but slammed the door shut on chasing the pack.
Yeah, well, they got the win over Maitland, which also gave them the split over Maitland. So they're 9 and 8, and they play Penrith this Friday night, which, you'd have to expect them to win that and go to 10 and 8 at least. And they own the split on just about everyone. They own it on Maitland, they own it on Canberra, they own it on Sutherland. So unless unless Hornsby lose out and finish 10 and 10 and someone, has a funky 3-way split that they win, it's going to be really tough. And more to the point, Maitland still have to play Newcastle and Bankstown. Canberra still have to play Albury-Wodonga. Sutherland still have to play Norths. There's a lot that has to go right for other teams that's not expected to happen if they want to get over Hills.
Over Hills, love that. You walked right into that one.
I did. I didn't even notice it. Oh, dear me.
Walked into it like a hornet's nest.
Thanks.
Too far. I'm trying to fix my hair. My hair's all over the place. But we'll talk a little bit more about Hills and Maitland in a second, as it's going to be our ESCOT game of the week. But also in the women's competition, players qualifying for finals with DNPs. Yes, I'm glad you brought this up because we did chat briefly about it over text leading up to the show. So tell us a little bit more, give us a bit more context about what inspired this discussion point.
Someone was talking to me about Saffron Shields on the weekend about, how she got announced and then just sits there and DMPs every week. And I think she's got on court once. And look, as far as we can tell, because we've seen clubs do it before, it's a way to qualify a player for finals is to make sure they're on the list every week, regardless of whether they're really match fit or not. I mean, happy to admit that Sutherland have done it, so don't call me out. And, fair play to the clubs. The rule is there. If you're on the team sheet and you get a DNP, it counts as one of your games to qualify for finals. And even if you need a waiver, and you have to have a minimum of 4 games to even get a waiver, DNP still count for that as well. And I think that's actually now written in the bylaws, because originally it wasn't explicitly stated. So fair play to clubs that do it, because the rule exists as written and you can do it, but we got to do something about it. Because I don't think, I just don't, it's not the way the rule is intended to work. And I know that, it's not fair for a DMP to not count to your 8 games, because if you're some end of the bench player and your team's in close games all season, you're just not going to get on court. But that's not because you're not available. It's just coach's decision. So, I mean, what do you have any ideas, Quinn?
I think as well, the only other thing I wanted to clarify with DNPs is, does the player need to be present and on the bench to DNP?
Yeah, yes. You have to sign. You actually have to sign on. It says in the bylaws, suited up and signed on. It explicitly says both of those things. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think it's a tough one. It's a tough one, because I definitely see the idea of it and the point of it, but I think you're right. I think it's also fair to those that are the 10th, 11th, 12th player on the bench who are unlikely to see court times, especially in tough games. But, the bench do make the team. So when your main players are out playing for the Kangaroos, injured, playing for Syria in a FIBA qualifier, and those players are now promoted, then I think all of those DMPs, and they were there suited up, ready to go, all should count. But yeah, it is that hard kind of. So yeah, people like your Saffron Shields. That was me that texted you on the weekend too, because I was doing.
I know you're not the only person who's talked to me about
it. Oh, okay. I was doing my WNBL depth charts, and I'm like, hey, didn't she sign anyway? Yeah, it's tough. It's still by the rules, but it's not bending the rule. It's still by the rule, but it's not what I don't think it's not what the rule was intended for. And you can't do anything about that.
No, I mean, I've considered 4 or 5. Is there something to said for mid-season signings? DMPs only count once you've actually started playing a game, kind of thing. Once you've touched the court, or once you've played X amount of games or played X amount of minutes. Should DMPs only count for your youth league dual registered players? If you play youth league properly, but you DMP a bunch of games in NBL1, that's okay. But if you're only playing NBL1, then your DMPs don't count. Some kind of point system where a DNP only counts, half or 3/4 or X amount of a game in terms of qualifying, kind of thing. But again, it always falls. Every time I think of a way to make it work, it always falls back to these end of the bench players that we talk about that suit up, travel to Albury or Newcastle or Canberra or wherever every week just to sit on the bench and get a DNP. You can't rule those players out of finals, because that's just unfair to players who, travel around. They're properly part of the squad. They just don't get to play every week.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, it's a tricky one. It's a very tricky one.
Yeah.
And we also need to talk about that this round of the NBL1 across all conferences was Indigenous round.
Indigenous round.
Yeah,
I'm
tell me
pointing to
more
my
about the
Eora jersey.
Yeah, tell me more about that Eora jersey that you are proudly hanging in the background.
Comets finally started selling the Eora jersey. So Comets have played in the black Eora or an Eora jersey for the last few seasons, and not just on First Nations round. I know last year, I think Ant Mundine said it on when he was chatting with Caleb that last season the boys were trying to make the Eora jersey like the standard Comets jersey. And why not? I mean, look at this thing. It's absolutely gorgeous. And for a club with such a deep connection to its Indigenous community, why not? I know it's not exactly club colours, but it's hot. It's such a good jersey. I mean, I think everyone loves the Comets Eora jersey, especially the black one. Yeah, so I think the design was done for the last few years, been done by Talina Simon, who's a local Indigenous woman, has also played NRLW. So talented local sportswoman as well. And yeah, so finally got my hands on one. If I knew they were selling that one, I probably wouldn't have bought 2 City jerseys because my bank account is feeling it right now.
Oh, geez. If you get really desperate, I might have to buy one of those City jerseys off you.
I mean, I talk about my bank account, and then I've got the game worn Rebecca Donnelly sitting next to it, which $250 that cost me.
Oh no, you don't need to detail the amount. You can leave the mystery up to the listeners, Lockie.
No, because I think anyone who was in the auction knows what the buy now price of all those jerseys were, because about 2/3 of them were done in buy now rather than auction. And also for Pink Round, shout out to everyone who did just go out and like shell out the $250 for a jersey rather than trying to bid and like bid $150 and see if that's enough. So yeah, good on everybody who went all out for the $250 because bumped up the final tally a little bit.
Yeah, so just on Pink Round, actually, as we know, North hosted a Pink Round a couple rounds ago, and they partnered with the Tough for Tea Foundation, which is the foundation named and founded by Tiana Mangakahia, who unfortunately passed away from breast cancer. And I have it on good authority that North were able to raise $13,000 on Pink Round for the Tough for Tea Foundation. So that's outstanding. All of the promotion looked excellent. It looked like everyone at the club was really buying in and very committed to the day. So congratulations to North and everyone that supported it for raising $13K.
That's so good. I know one of their sponsors was doing X amount of money per 3-pointer made as well. So yeah,
that's very generous given how well they can shoot from the arc. Damn. I wonder how much that would have. That's half the $13K alone.
Yeah. Reminds me of one year I donated to Maddie Wheatley from Canberra Nationals when she was over at college to her free throws, and she made 99 out of 100. I was like, oh, I'm glad I went for a flat rate and not $1 per made free throw.
Yeah. Smart, very smart investment. And then just speaking on North as well, we got Mega Bowl this Friday. It's North versus Manly this Friday night at the Bear Cave. Now, are you going to be at Mega Bowl, Lockie?
I will actually be commentating on Comets versus Hornsby while that is going on. I would love to be at the Mega Bowl, but I have other commitments. So.
What a shame. What a shame. Mega Bowl is going to be awesome. Great way to spend a Friday night. We've often spoken about on this podcast as well, the need or the want to have more Friday night games, and such a high caliber game is going to be very exciting. What a way to start the weekend.
Oh, it's going to be and the great part is that, it's basically a minor premiership decider for the women. And on the men's side, it's first versus third. So And I think if Manly can get up, then they still would retain a slim chance of still be out of their hands, but they might retain a slim chance of getting over Norths on the table as well.
Yes, that would be really interesting. So yeah, 2 guaranteed high caliber games at Mega Bowl this Friday. It's kind of exciting having those types of games as well towards the end of the season.
Oh, so good, so good. Gonna definitely be watching that back.
Do you think that the Manly Warringah Seagulls fans are going to take a coach load over to the Bear Cave on the Friday night?
They better.
You'd hope so. Someone should.
It's North. It's like, it's a quick trip for you guys. Get down there.
Nothing seems like a quick trip out of Manly.
Tell me about it after being up there on the weekend. Although I did get a lift home. You were there on the weekend. Did you want to share a little bit more about that, or do you want to keep that offline? No, I want to share it.
Go on, please.
So, during the week, got a message from Alex Delaney saying, "Do you want to commentate? Lucas can't make it." I was like, it's 3 p.m., 5 p.m. tip. I'll still be home nice and early. Sure, I'll head up to Manly to get up on the scaffolding and commentate a couple of games. And I was lucky enough to do that. And maybe half an hour before the game, Dwayne Jordan comes over and is talking to the other commentator, Lockie Creeley, who was great. He's saying, "Lockie, when you do," saying to Creeley, "do your team announcements, leave Alex till last. And when you introduce Alex, pass the mic, and Lockie, can you give a little speech about Alex for her 100th game?" And I was like, he's like, "Just 15 seconds. That's all we need." And I was like, "Okay, I can put something together for 15 seconds. I reckon I made it to about 9 seconds before the tears started flowing.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so wholesome. A, that you got to commentate the 100th game. B, that you were there for Alex's 100th game. But the cherry on top, being asked to give a speech at a 100th game, that is really special. You got to notch that up on the milestone list of all of your basketball achievements. That's up there, if not higher, than commentating a game at Davidson.
Okay, but I'm not getting a tattoo for this.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
I cop it off really cool. Wearing a Manly jersey, let alone getting a Manly tattoo.
Yeah, I don't think that would allow you back at the Shark Tank if you were to get a Manly tattoo, regardless of where it is on your body.
No. But yeah, it was. Yeah, that was something special. So, yeah, thanks, Dwayne, thanks Manly, thanks Alex for messaging me and asking me in the first place. Yeah, I do love going up to Manly. So, being on the scaffolding, not always the greatest, but being up there is always fun.
Yeah, that's excellent. I love that. I'm so happy that you got to do that. That's really a very special moment and once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
Good for you, bud. I love that. I'm glad that people out there are still looking after you.
Thanks, Quinn.
So should we get stuck into this Eastcock game of the week?
Yes, we very much should, because I had so much fun watching it.
As did I. So yeah, the Eastcock game of the week this week is the Hills Hornets versus the Maitland Mustangs women's game. This is a game that we earmarked a few rounds back as something that's going to be very important to help determine where these two teams will place on the ladder come the end of the season, as both are really toying at that end of the ladder, or that, I shouldn't say end, but that position on the ladder to make sure that they make finals. So this was a super exciting game. Straight off the bat, I have to say that we got some lovely compliments in our Eastcock game Instagram DMs about the commentary for this game. So shout out to Andre Miles and Robbie Clayton, who are the play-by-play and colour commentators respectively for the Hills Hornets. Robbie does an exceptional job in his research. He even pulled out the whole Maitland haven't played at Hills since 2024 kind of stat, which I was like, damn, you've really gone down the rabbit hole there, Robbie. I really applaud you for that. So shout out to them, first of all, and thanks to those that contacted us on the eScott Game Instagram to give them compliments. That's what makes the league great, when we have each other's backs like that. But I will also say I really enjoyed this game. Within the first 5 minutes, I was reminded of how much I enjoy watching these two teams as players and how much I enjoy these two teams and their athletes as people. And I was kind of a little bit disappointed in myself that I hadn't watched more of these two teams throughout the rest of the season.
No, I mean, we know of plenty of these players personally, but I mean, they're just teams that play a brand of basketball that's so watchable, both of them. It's, you think, especially like semi-pro basketball, state league, you think, getting down to like 8th or 9th on the table, are these teams actually going to be good to watch? It's like, no, these teams are bloody good and bloody good to watch.
Yeah, you're right there. It was a really good brand of basketball, and they were very similar brands of basketball as well. So much space created by both teams. Maitland, nearly every offensive possession were consciously taking at least 2 steps off the 3-point line. They were playing with so much space. And Hills equally were playing with that much space, because that allows players like Cezzy Matthews from Maitland, like Shez from Hills, to penetrate and make those dishes that they're kind of so well known for.
Yeah.
And what did you see? What was your first impressions? Take me through the first quarter.
I mean, first possession each way. I was like, this is going to be great team ball all day. And it was. Just the first possession from Cherie, just that skip pass that got everybody from Maitland moving the wrong way as the ball came back. For Cherie to get it back and fire away from deep, missed. And then Maitland come up the other way, and Jess Finney just finds Shaq for an open 3. And I was like, all right, both teams are already like, we're going to move the ball. We're going to get it through hands quickly. It's going to be really good to watch. One player I was really interested to watch in this game, partly because of the stats that she produced, but more like just throughout the season, it was Brooke Bielko from Hills. The Hills send import big. Because when you think of bigs, especially import bigs in this league, it's, it's got to be like, you got to rack up a whole lot of points to be considered, impactful. And generally that is the role of an import, no matter position. You've got to put up big numbers. That's why they get paid the medium bucks.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I also enjoyed watching her play. You know how I like a traditional center, back to basket, good rim protector kind of player. And she was just that. Her rim protection and her size, being able to make life very difficult for Casey Newbert, where Casey Newbert loves to live, with all of her O-boards and putbacks and post moves. That was a really great matchup that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, it really was. As you mentioned earlier, the ability for Cherie to get, into the paint, both teams looking to attack the paint because they can drive and kick to shooters. Shaq's a good shooter. Jess Finney is known as a shooter. Piper Anderson, if you give her enough space, she'll shoot. It's not always her first go, but at Comets, I've watched her knock down threes for fun if she gets given enough space. Hills, though, it was a trend throughout the game, but it started early. It's not whether you've got more urgency than Hills on the break. It's just they've got so many quick players in transition. Like, we always talk about, no one gets given fast break points in, NBL1 on the stats. I think Hills had 6 fast break points in the first quarter. Was something I'm sure I saw that they had.
Yeah, they did. You're right. They had 6 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had 14 for the whole game.
Yeah. teams just don't get given fast break points, but they get out and they run. And that's what I was like, is Maitland's transition defense that bad? And then I kept watching it. I'm like, no, it's not. Hills just, I thought I was watching a replay of the Diamond League Athletics. Just a stream of people running really fast in a straight line. But also the difference was in transition that Hills were able to then go to the rack, whereas Maitland would be settling for threes more in transition because Hills are able to get back a bit quicker. So I thought that was something that really helped Hills in the first quarter to just keep the scoreboard ticking over a bit better than Maitland were able to at times.
I think you're right. That's a really sound observation. Hill's definitely quick. Jade Kurasomi, she looks good at the moment. Like she's gone to another level. Yeah. I think in terms of her conditioning, but also she just seems strong, not in like just a physical, up top muscly kind of strong. Her base is really strong. She's gotten quicker. She's moving smoother. It doesn't seem like she's fatiguing when she's shooting those clutch threes at the end. She almost had 4 in a row in the fourth quarter. She looks good. I do think though both can exist, that Hills can be quick and finish at the rim on transition. I also do think that Maitland's defensive transition wasn't that good. I think they can be as equally as quick. And there were so many times they were just caught standing and not communicating. And then Hills was just able to carry on and cut through them like a knife because Maitland were too busy looking around, pointing the finger at each other like the Spider-Man meme. And just like that, Hills has scored 2 points. So I think there were definitely times, and we saw it more throughout the rest of the game, that Maitland's D-trans was not in the building sometimes.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think it was probably something they talked about in that early timeout, if I'm being honest, because I did notice, especially the first couple of plays out of the timeout, they were barreling right back. But I don't think it lasted throughout the game. Also, what I noticed in the first quarter is if things aren't happening, Cherie will make something happen. Throw it to Cherie, she'll call a pick and roll, or she'll drive into the paint. She'll just make something happen. And it's just such a steadying influence to have a player like that who can make the right call in a broken situation. There was one especially where the play was just nothing was going on, and Cherie gets the ball and says, "Kennedy Johnson, you stand here. We're going to run a pick and roll." And it was just Kennedy had no one around. She rolled to the basket and was as open as you'd want to be. And it just, for it to happen off something where nothing was happening, was just, loved it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of Shez's assets. I don't know how she does it sometimes, of being able to create something from nothing. That can be the downside to both teams playing with so much space, is that sure, you're playing with space, you're dragging the defense out. There's going to be a lot more opportunities maybe for your drive and dish and your weak side cutters, but you still have to cut. You still have to do those things. Just because you're taking space doesn't mean those things are going to happen automatically. I think sometimes both teams got a little bit too caught up in the just motion of passing, good ball movement. But I did like, though, when both teams had sound ball movement, everyone was ready to shoot. Like, everyone played like they were a scorer. It wasn't necessarily, hey, we have to get Jade a shot, we have to get Sezi a shot, we have to get Shaq a shot. Everyone was ready to shoot and be a scorer from both teams, which I think was a tremendous asset.
Do you think, I think these two teams, they've got bigs in Casey, in Newbert, and Brooke Bielko that are probably the majority of the time able to, if not dominate, at least win the contest inside, whereas in this game it was a real battle. You think that maybe has an effect on, the generally, playing with that spacing that they have?
Maybe. I think the downside of playing with that space is then people are least likely to go and contest rebounds and leave it up to the Belcos and the Newberts of the world. But when they're taking each other out, the ball's going to go elsewhere. They're expending their energy taking each other out. They're not always going to be able to get the rebounds. Other people are going to have to come in and saddle up and get some boards. So, yeah, but I think also playing with space, having those two inside the basket gives them more space to move. We're able to get a good post catch. Just let them go one-on-one, because oftentimes you get a post catch and someone is crowding you, or someone comes to cut near you and brings the defense towards the post player and things like that. I don't know if that actually answered your question, but that's kind of what I'm.
It was still a very good observation. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. We got there in a roundabout way.
It's funny you talk about other players having to go for rebounds, because there was one where Kirasome missed the layup and Ella Gale got the O board from point and was standing like right under the basket, and Finney and Newbert just assumed, it looked like they assumed she was going to put it home, and she didn't. And then Kirasome was like, okay, well, I'll put it back in then.
Yeah, I'll do it then if you're not going to do it. Yeah.
But where everyone on Maitland was like, oh, yeah, Ella Gale's finishing that. Yeah.
I did like, first quarter, I think I'd have to double check the shot chart. I did feel like Hills were doing a good job of getting some consistent scores across the board, and Maitland, I think, a couple of times, again, just conferring to the shot chart. Yeah, Shaq had 3 threes in the first quarter.
I think she had all of Maitland's threes.
Yeah, so really having to rely on Shaq's threes in that first quarter to keep them in touch, because there was early signs that Hills were ready to run away with it to get such a big lead. But even though the end result was 101-80, it really wasn't, the score doesn't really reflect how close this game was for the majority of the time.
Do you know what the scoreline reflects? It reflects the first four minutes of the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Oh, do you think the first 4 minutes?
Maybe just like a little brief period. Maybe not even the first. Yeah, maybe just that stint where Jay Kirasome caught fire.
Oh my gosh, that was so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get to the fourth quarter. Did you have any other real notes for the first quarter for either team?
Mostly Hills being 72% from 2-point range, but 1 of 7 from 3-point land. The fact that Maitland were only trailing by 1 at that stage, with Hills shooting that kind of percentage from 3-point range. And, on occasion they dared a couple of players to shoot. On occasion they didn't and got burned. Shannon Burton on Piper Anderson. Who just went straight past her like she wasn't there. But I thought that felt a little dangerous. Yeah, to have Hills 1 of 7 from 3-point land and only lead by 1, it felt like there was more to come, which we did see in the second quarter.
Yeah, well, let's get stuck into the second quarter.
I mean, the first thing we got to talk about in the second quarter is Ella Gale going down.
She looked quite distressed.
That didn't look good at all. No,
and I didn't quite see what happened on the replay either. But her injury and during a live broadcast kind of brought up another point for me, actually. And I think we've talked about this before. I can't remember if it was online or offline. But when a player is injured and there's a live broadcast, don't put the camera on them the whole time.
I remember. Yeah.
Please.
When I was commentating, and basically producing the stream for Handball National Championships last year, and a player got injured, and our cameraman, like, if you're just getting like players doing camera, and the camera person, by almost instinct, it's like, oh, there's an injured player, and I'm like, no, move the camera away. Switch to camera 2. We don't need
anything.
I think the replay actually does cut after a while and just skips to the next play, fortunately. Yeah.
It does. The replay, they show Ella on the ground for a little bit. They show a replay, and then there's the old swipe edit where they just kind of continue, which was good. I'm glad that they cut that out, because one of the games I commentated last week for the FIBA U17 World Cup, a guy went down and he stayed down, and then his coach came out, and then the managers and physio came out, and then the ambulance came out and they took him off in a wheelchair. And I'm texting the broadcast people like, please go to commercials. Please don't show this guy going off a wheelchair. Like, let's have a little bit of taste here, guys. Like, don't show that. We don't need to see that. Out of respect for the player, don't need to see that. But yeah, she did go down. So I was worried about that and her impact and who was going to step up. But then I remembered I already knew the results, so I didn't need to be too worried.
Okay, fair.
But this was a great opportunity for one of my new favorite players who I haven't watched before until now, who just stepped up and was an absolute baller. Angela Tarko.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. What a absolute potential of a player she is. She was fearless on defense. She was confident taking her shot when they came to her. She played only 13 minutes and 17 seconds, but she had 8 points, 3 from 7, 2 from 5 from the 3-point line. I was really impressed with her, and she would come on in spurts.
Yeah.
She would kind of rattle some of the Maitland veterans, and then off she goes again. She'd come on again. That was great. I mean, she really made the most of the opportunity for perhaps, I don't know how many minutes she averages, but I just thought that was a really great opportunity for her to step in and make an impact, and she did.
She really did, yeah. I mean, I noticed her too. I especially noticed that there were even times where Angela and Ella Suasu were on court together, which, I mean, is probably an effect of rotations changing, but it's still not something I would have expected. But, Coach Rob Merrick put his trust in his young Chargers, and they both repaid him.
Yeah, I think it was obviously they've both been doing lots of work. I mean, Ella's been part of the program for a while now. She had her 2 points, 1 rebound, 1 block in the 6 minutes of play. And again, it doesn't look like much on the stat sheet, but just coming in and doing your job and making the impact can go a long way. And that's when you really know your starters can rely on the bench, when they can do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, second quarter as well, Hills definitely started to find their range in the second quarter. They were 5 from 7 from the 3-point line this quarter. Still getting plenty of points in the paint, but 5 from 7 is pretty impressive from the arc for the second quarter. They improved their 3-point percentage from 14.29 to 71.43.
Yeah.
And what other notes did you have?
And I mean, yeah, apart from that, they, I did make some more specific notes a little bit about Maitland's transition defense, and also some of the decisions they made on which player they would take, or if they let someone go to the rack over shooting. Like there was one possession where Kurosome came up, caught Piper Anderson's in the corner, and Finney, turns her attention to Anderson. I'm like, Piper Anderson, very serviceable shooter, but I'm letting her have that 3 over Kurosome going to the rack every day of the week. So something like that. And I really thought this is where Brooke Belco's, especially her passing out of both the low post and the high post, really started to come to the fore. She started getting some more opportunities. There's one she found, Cherie Kalea. So she was at the high post, and Cherie was almost under the basket, and she got actually get the pass in there and finish. So that was where that really started coming to the fore. She did finish with 8 assists, so I guess it's a fair thing to say that her passing was a real asset, for for Hills. Maitland, look, they were creating open looks of their own, but everything pales in comparison to a 5 of 7 3-point shooting quarter. But 2-point shooting and their 3-point shooting percentages down on Hills, particularly their 3-point shooting percentage. And I thought they had some pretty open looks that on another day might have knocked down.
For Maitland?
Yeah.
Yeah, Maitland's decision-making was interesting in this game for me. I think at the game as a whole, I think it came down to offensive decision-making. Certainly 3-point percentage would have impacted, given that Kirisomi had 8 threes. But yeah, decision-making, and then there was that patch in the fourth quarter, which we'll obviously talk about at the end. Sometimes Maitland would take really good shots. They'd get through what they needed to get through. They'd run the set. They'd play good motion. They'd get a really good shot. Other times it was just like someone was just shooting because it was their turn, or someone was just shooting because they were panicked and like, oh, we need to get a shot up, or we need to. I think the decision-making across the game wasn't their best. And sometimes they did rely on a Shaq 3, on a Rachel Williams step through, on a Sezi still does her signature moves, which definitely helps in those dire situations when you need a quick score. But I think Maitland really have the capacity in them to be a bit more creative with their scoring options, especially having such a great versatile big in Casey, that she could, like, because she can play high post, low post, and pass. So obviously using her pick and roll, great, but doing something like using in the high post, trying to get a backdoor action, trying to get someone cutting off her for a handoff, just something like someone like Sezi and Shaq would be really good at something like that. And you've still got Williams and Finney on the weak side ready to stop and shoot. But Finney for me, I can see how good she can play.
Yes.
But I still just haven't, the games I've watched of her, I just haven't seen it. I think sometimes as well, she has all the skill set to be an outstanding scorer, but it comes down to her decision-making.
No, I think that's fair. And one game where the game, ironically enough, was against Sutherland. Yes, that is. Yeah. Even though Sutherland got the win up early in the season, like, she really impressed me in that one. And yeah, she's comes with real shooting pedigree. She's played at good colleges, recruited by Washington originally, I'm pretty sure. So, she's definitely got pedigree. And like this Maitland game in general, putting it together consistently for 40 minutes throughout, because like you said, there were some times they were just like, it felt like they didn't need to get behind by very much before they thought they needed to, go all guns blazing to get back into it. Like 6 or 7, and they were like, we've got to go on a run. It's like, just get it back one basket at a time. It's only a 3-possession game or a 2-possession game.
Yeah, it came across as that they were panicking a bit. Yeah, but having said that, Maitland had 14 points in the paint, though, in the second quarter. Still didn't win the second quarter, though. So they had the first quarter was 24-23 and then 30-23. So still, 14 of their 23 points coming inside the paint. So at least they were maybe penetrating a bit more and not relying on that 3 ball as much as we saw in the first quarter. But yeah, I think being the defense just let them down again a lot. They letting Hill score 30 points in a quarter is a lot.
That really, that is a lot. And it's mostly defense and maybe defensive, just little things on defense, like not even a whole miscommunication or complete loss of rotation or anything like that. Just little things, just one player going the wrong way, or and it only takes one player to be in the wrong spot for everything breaks down.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're playing with such space and obviously with such purpose in where your floor spots and where to be when. Yeah, it's really important that everyone has that chemistry and that understanding of moving off each other to maintain those floor spots as well.
Yeah.
But to be fair, not either team didn't really kind of mess that up too much.
No.
But I think it was just the shot selection for me. But yeah, second quarter, Maitland had the 2 from 6 threes. Yeah, lots more inside the paint as well. Like Rach Williams had a couple, Casey Newbert, Sezi. So all the regulars were getting in there.
Yeah, I think Rachel Williams' 2 baskets in the paint came on, if not consecutive possessions, very close to consecutive possessions, just twice in a row, just getting downhill, getting to the rack. And I'm pretty sure one was on a step through.
Oh, classic. That's the Rachel Williams classic, the step through. But also Jade Kirisomi, classic as well. Her textbook step through in that first quarter.
Oh.
Just that touch as well, how she laid it in. Oh, my gosh. I got to go home and practice that.
Social comp won't know what hit it.
I did do a really great step through last night, but it missed. So obviously got a lot of work to do. I'll be modeling from Jade from now on.
Any more notes? Yeah, I did actually want to talk about like Jade, just as the quarter went on, just started drawing more and more of the defense's attention. I think that probably also contributed to some of the decisions that weren't quite, 100% from Maitland. They were all, everyone was almost trying to stop Jade kind of thing. Player would fight over the screen and stay with her, and the second defender would still come, or and it'd leave someone open, or just times where they didn't have to chase after her, they did, and it just opened things up a little bit. And I mean, Jade is a good enough passer that if she's got a double on her, she's probably going to find the one player that's open.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that point actually when we cover the fourth quarter, similarly for another Heels player. But yeah, again, just a sense of panic from Maitland, miscommunication. Whose defensive assignment is Jade? If she's already on a tear in the first quarter, whose defensive assignment in it? And going back to our point before where we talked about Maitland's defensive transition wasn't at its best throughout the game, certainly had some lapses in patches. It's one thing to get back on defensive transition, but it's also, as soon as the ball's turned over, someone locking down the ball first. Yeah. And I think Hills, that's really what Hills got away with a lot. Someone like Jade or Shez shouldn't be able to, on a turnover, just dribble all the way down to the three-point line being unguarded.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny. We watching the World Cup and watching teams, and they've stacked like 7 players in the box, but no one's marking on it. It's just like, we got 7 players in the box. Someone will kick the ball away. It's the same here. We got 4 players getting back. Someone will pick up the ball.
Someone will pick up the ball. No one did. So Jade essentially could have gone coast to coast on a couple of occasions.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, third quarter. Let's talk about third quarter. I didn't see too many changes in the third quarter. I think each team was still sticking to their game plans. We started to see a lot of bench players stepping up from each teams, mostly from Hills though, because they had 26 of their overall 101 points from the bench. So consistently throughout the game, the bench was stepping up. And obviously, I think that is a big contributor to Kennedy Johnson, because she didn't start this game. She was 6-man up. She still played 35 minutes and then had 16 and 6. So she's obviously a big, 16 of the 26 points from the bench are hers. Yeah. I still feel like same good things were working. Same issues for each team were kind of still happening. The one thing I did like, though, Maitland switched for a little while to a 1-3-1 zone, like a matchup zone. And that really started to stall Hill's scoring. This quarter, actually, Maitland won 20-22. And there was a really great patch from Maitland in that matchup zone where they got heaps of stops in the row, and Hill's scoring options just dried up.
Yeah, and I feel like Maitland also taking advantage of that. They showed, you were talking about creative. Maybe they weren't more creative, but they definitely scored in different ways more often. Through, especially I think through as the quarter wore on, because I think in the latter stage of the quarter, the three ball really started to dry up for both teams. The percentages weren't too bad, but I guess it pales in comparison to 5 of 7 for Hills. And if you're not hitting your shots at that clip, it's hard to bust a zone as well. So I thought Maitland were better, although again, decision making not always at its best, as you mentioned. Like some of these problems remain prevalent throughout the entire game. Throwing a long outlet while Piper Anderson's getting back, that's just that's a straight up KYP. If Piper Anderson is the one barreling back, she's going to outrun the ball. So, that kind of thing, decisions that are never likely to result in something going your way. I really thought Maitland's ball movement at times was a lot better. I mean, it started with the opening possession, Shaq just penetrating and forcing Jade to go away from the shooter in the corner who knocked down the three. They did it later on in transition with Finney finding Shaq in the corner. So a couple of corner threes and just finding the right player at the right time, but it's just not consistent enough from Maitland throughout. And then I've got it written down again. Hill's transition basket, Kurasome. Right when it looked like Maitland were getting really close. I think they got it back within 4 points. Kurasome got out in transition again. But yeah, I wanted to see more changes, better execution, better decision making. And it wasn't quite there, but it still remained a very close game throughout the third quarter.
Yeah, it really did. The 2 points of difference between each team. So in that 1-3-1 matchup zone that Maitland had, and I noticed that was a really strong patch of them getting lots of stops. Heels took 15 3-pointers in this quarter and only made 4. And I think the advantage of that zone was that, sure, they were giving up a lot more threes, but then it was that a lot of their atypical 3-point shooters from Hill shooting them. And so that's fine. You can live by that. If they're going to be 4 from 15 from the 3-point line in a quarter, and you're in a matchup zone where nearly every player is a better prime to be in a rebounding position, then I think great. But then you need to convert that into layups.
Yes.
That's when you've done a great job. You've forced a bad shot. You've gotten a stop, and you need to get off to the races like the Mustangs that you are and run as a pack to get a layup. Put them under pressure. If you're not going to get a layup, you'll get a trans 3. If you're not going to get either of them, go to the rack, get 2 feet in the paint, draw a foul, put the Heels back under pressure to make them guard you on the way back. So I think that's where something could have tweaked, because otherwise that matchup zone looked really, really good. I was like, okay, the tide is changing here. But then still after 3-quarter time, I was still close. And I'm like, what actually happens here in the fourth? But Hills still win by 20.
I mean, 4 of 15 from 3. You force the opponents to go 4 of 15 from 3 and you don't really put a dent in things. Yeah, that's a straight up wasted opportunity.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was funny. You like what happened in the fourth quarter because the score, one of the last score bugs that came up in the third quarter was that Jay Kurosome had 22 points. And that was with like a minute left in the third. I was like, well, I know what she finishes with. The things are about to get fun.
Yeah. So did she actually have 22 in the fourth?
She might have got another basket after that to get up to 24 or 25, but it was definitely with a minute left in the third. She still only had 22.
She had 4 threes in the fourth quarter. So that's 12. Yeah. She had another field goal. She had another layup. So that's 14.
Yeah.
And then I can't determine how many free throws she had. She only had 2 free throws for the game.
Oh.
But anyway.
So it was either a 14 or 16 point fourth quarter from Jay Kurosome.
But she, she had 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. She was 5 from 7 from the field though in the fourth quarter. 4 from 5 from the 3-point line, 1 from 2 from the 2-point range. Pretty impressive.
It was beautiful to watch.
The thing though for me, a very textbook thing for me that it started to dawn on me maybe a quarter of the way through the fourth quarter. It started to dawn on me. I was like, oh, this is how it ends up being 20. And it wasn't just like a quick blowout. It was just this progression of Hills coming down, getting a score, Maitland going back, rushing a shot. Hills coming down, getting a score, Maitland going back, rushing a shot. Hills, I would like to see, I'm not sure if it's available on the NBL1 website in stats in terms of percentage of possession for that fourth quarter. It just felt like Maitland kind of had the majority of possession that quarter because Hills had the majority of possession. So every time Maitland went down, it was one pass shot. And I was like, oh, I understand that they want to get scores, but part of me is also like get to the rack, get fouled, secondary action, something other than just the traditional, someone's going to take a contested 3 or someone's going to take an early 3, especially when they're not getting back and getting stops.
I mean, that's it. I mean, I wrote when Shannon dropped one into Casey Newbert and Casey just battled away in the paint and finished. And I wrote down, I think they were on 72 with that basket. And I wrote, how did Maitland only score 8 more points all game after this? So this was with like 7 minutes left in the fourth. And 2 points later is Maitland had just won and done too much. That was literally two notes later. It was like
7-3.
Yeah.
They had 7 3-point attempts in the fourth quarter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they had 15 shot attempts in the fourth quarter. 7 were from 3. 8 were from the 2-point range compared to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 threes as well from Maitland. Hills. But Hills had a lot more shots in the 2-point range as well. So, again, just breaking down the defense. Maitland just not getting stops and then not converting. It was just, I don't know. And I think as well, like as much as I like that matchup zone for Maitland in the third, Hills did actually do a really good job after a while to find a way of busting that at the seams. So then finding open shooters and getting people under the basket, and Sheds was being very creative. But I don't know. I think it still would have been maybe worth the risk of coming out into that again for Maitland for the fourth. But yeah, it was just that traditional kind of game where it's like one team just keeps scoring, the other keeps taking fast shots, and then that's how the game runs away. And
when Jade hit those 3 threes in really quick succession, 2 out of Belko getting the ball in the high post and passing out. And then the third one, Belko again, this time out of the low post, passing out. So of her 8 assists, 3 of, I'm pretty sure those were 3 assists, all from their import big, who finished with 3 points for the night, but was very, very noticeable throughout for everything she did. And she just, it's funny because I thought Casey was doing a pretty good job on her one-on-one. Perhaps Maitland didn't need to really send much help in that battle. You know, if she gets the ball in the low post, you know, just let Casey battle with her, because there are a few times where Casey was just fine, you know, preventing her from getting a score.
Oh, yeah. Casey did a lot of heavy lifting this game. She was already, battling down low with Belko and, keeping her to 3 points. Also keeping her to 8 rebounds. But Casey then was, like, Belko was really challenging Casey defensively. Like, nothing came easy for Casey, but she still ended up with 17 points, 6 rebounds, 16 rebounds. 4 of those 16 rebounds were offensive rebounds. And then she still had 5 assists and shot at 43%.
Yeah.
Like, they're outstanding statistics for someone who was being matched for size and skill set and being consistently challenged in her position all game.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, she is literally and metaphorically a massive part of that Maitland team. I mean, we were all cheering when she came back in the first place, and she's just, you know, taken on even more of a leadership role with no Sid Hunter this year. It was a very fun matchup to watch. But don't worry about baking with Brookie. We're just going to cook with Brooke.
Look, I've lived in Brisbane long enough as well to say that Brookie is overrated.
Oh.
Hot take.
That is a hot take.
But yeah, so I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, essentially that was my summary of the fourth quarter. It just slowly got away from the Stangers in that formula. And to me, there was nothing really else to it than that.
No.
It did help that Hills increased their 3-point shooting once again in the fourth to 57.14%. Maitland only shooting 14.29 in the fourth quarter. Maitland had 10 points in the paint, though, so that's definitely... Oh, sorry, that was Hills. Had 10 points in the paint. Maitland dropped back to 6 points in the paint, so maybe shooting too much from the outside, not trying to get it back into Casey. Newbert's a great free throw shooter as well, but also just a great passer with the 5 assists. So I think maybe just going away for what was working with them and what their strengths are.
Also, can I just note, is there a combination on this Hills team that can't run a pick and roll together? Just feels like no matter who does, like, Kalea with anyone. I saw Piper Anderson run one with Kennedy Johnson late in the game. Ella Gale will run one. Belko will run one with you. It's like, whoever's there.
I will say, though, I got a sense that Belko was a bit tentative to set a really good pick. Because she is, a center with size and strength. So sometimes those types of players in our league are targeted with illegal screen when it's just a hard screen.
Yeah.
But then part of me is also like, girl, I just want you to smack someone.
Yeah. It's like, it felt like, it's like coming out, being in exactly the right spot, but just like not
and
really
then she
like
shies away.
Yeah, it's like just yeah. I mean, yeah, we've seen some absolutely brilliant screens that players get laid out on, just get called, and it's like, come on, fam. Well, come on, like, you just, she didn't move. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So Hills won the fourth quarter 27-12. So the scoring really did dry up, unfortunately, for the Stangers. Kirisomi having at least 14 of that 27 in the fourth quarter. But also Shez with the sneaky near triple-double.
Oh. 24, 16, and 9. Yeah.
Yeah, and then 3 steals as well. She shot at 82% overall. 100% from the 2-point range, 2 from 4 from the 3-point range. And, like, I didn't even realize until I looked at the stats after that she had that stat line. And she just made it look so effortless.
And I think you think about like them getting out and running. Well, when your point guard gets 16 defensive rebounds, that means you don't have to wait for an outlet 16 times. She just grabs the ball
really
and
good point.
Goes. See you later.
And off you go.
Yeah.
16 rebounds is outstanding. But also Maitland, they managed to have multiple players in double figures, which again is surprising given, the final score. They had Sezi had 14, 3 and 2, Shaq had 16 and 2, Rachel had 16 and 2, Finney had 14, 3, 4 and 3. Yeah, Newbert that we said before, 17, 16 and 5. And it was certainly a game, the commentator said at the start, it was certainly too of an important game to not, like they were just going to stick to their 7 in rotation, which I think is fair enough, given how important the game was for both teams. It was really one of those games that was two teams with a similar playing style, similar skill sets in their main players, in their main, say, 3, 5, 7 players, very similar level of experience as well. Watching Jade and Shaq go up against each other, or Belko and Newbert go up against each other, and even Shez and Shaq and Shez and Sezi, like they've all got very similar playing experience too. So the matchups were really fun to watch. It was really just for me that fourth quarter of Hills making shots and Maitland not stopping them, and then making poor decisions on O. Yeah,
I mean, I would say Hills put them under pressure with those baskets, and Maitland, just under that pressure, panicked a little bit, tried to get it all back at once. Doesn't always work out. In fact, rarely works out that way.
That's right, yeah. And so I know we've talked about this before, but let's quickly look ahead at the fixtures for both of these teams now. Who does Maitland have coming up?
Newcastle and Bankstown.
Okay, that's a tough order.
I think they've got someone else before that. Comets. Oh yes, they've got Comets, then Newcastle and Bankstown.
Comets, Newcastle, Bankstown, and Comets have Chantel back.
Yes, they do.
Back with a vengeance as well. She's already putting up big numbers.
Got the win over Illawarra on the weekend, did the old Comets?
They did, just to shake it up a little bit more. We love that. And of course, who do Hills have coming up?
I know they've got Penrith, and I think they finished with Illawarra and Bankstown. So a slightly easier draw.
Yeah, interesting. That's right. They both have Bankstown in their final 3 games. I think that is also going to determine where both Maitland and Hills women fall on the ladder. They both play Bankstown.
Yeah.
And I think it will definitely have to come down to, if they both lose, obviously for and against points. And I'm sure that Coach Grange is going to be able to do the math of, okay, if we lost by 21 and we both happen to lose by Bankstown, we have to lose by however much. That kind of thing. It just reminds me of the Opals at the Paris Olympics where we're like,
with Puerto Rico?
Oh my gosh. We thought, okay, we just have to beat Puerto Rico. Oh no, wait. Belgium's gone and beaten Japan by 20, which no one was expecting. So now we have to beat Puerto Rico by 400.
And we did we're hitting a basket with 3 seconds to play just to get a margin. Not a win, just a margin.
It's a margin. Geez, we don't need this stress.
No.
So I think that sounds like it's going to be super important. But otherwise, what else have you final thoughts, feelings, observations?
On most nights, all 5 starters scoring 14 or more is going to get you a win.
Mm-hmm.
You just too many defensive lapses, just little lapses, just, one player not doing the right thing, or just, like we mentioned, the transition defense wasn't always quite there. Hills, they're going to play, like, if they make finals, which I'm fully expecting them to now with Penrith and Illawarra as their next 2 games. If they come out and play a game like that, they can give, especially at the offensive end, they can give anyone a run for their money. But the problem is that game is likely to be against Newcastle or Albury-Wodonga on the road. And that's their one shot. It's going to be an elimination final against probably either Newcastle or Albury-Wodonga. So, and look, Newcastle, we can only assume will have Saffron. Albury-Wodonga will definitely have LT. So both those teams are going to be better than their records suggest. So, I mean, if Hills can beat Penrith and Illawarra, they'll be in playoffs. If they play like they did in this game, they'll 100% beat both of those teams. And keep on trucking till it falls into motion.
Oh my gosh. Where is that quote from?
That's a Kid Rock lyric from Cowboy.
Oh no, we're not quoting Kid Rock on He's Got Game, are we?
No, it's a Kid Rock lyric quoted by a college football YouTuber.
Okay, we'll take that because we don't want to be seen as MAGA sympathizers on He's Got Gameplay using Kid Rock quotes.
No. If you like college football, watch Matt Mitchell.
Okay, pro tip. Now, what are you looking forward to next round? Have you got any games earmarked, or are you commentating any games other than your Comets game on the Friday night?
Yeah, I do. I have Sutherland Illawarra. So Sutherland Illawarra men. Oh, the Freeway Cup is up for grabs, and Sutherland are the form team of the competition at the moment. That's going to be a big one. And the Sutherland women, that all they can do is win and hope that other results go their way. So, I mean, I think with the split, if results don't go their way on Friday night, they could be done before we even get there on Saturday morning. But yeah, and don't worry, Sutherland fans, I'm bringing a Sutherland jersey to the Sutherland game because I'm also bringing my Illawarra jersey, so I have to bring my Sutherland jersey too.
It's just, as commentators, we've just got to be neutral, and being neutral is sometimes supporting both clubs at the same time,
or just supporting one player from one club because you've got the jersey with their name on the back.
Oh, of course. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah. Well, for me, I was down to commentate the Mega Bowl. Unfortunately, my plans have changed, but I will be at the GYG Stadium in Terrigal on Saturday to commentate Crusaders versus Newcastle Women.
How good with Hamish?
With Hamish, and
how good!
I think Hamish and Will as well. So hopefully there'll be 3 of us. I'm just looking forward to being home. It's actually also going to be life member round at the Crusaders, and as my mum was inducted as a life member last year, it's kind of perfect timing for me personally to go back and commentate a game for Crew, which I haven't done in 3 seasons now.
Wow!
Also for life member round, where hopefully, mum will be celebrated again. So I'm getting very spoilt in my quick stint home.
Yeah, good. Also, given all the talk around players having their 100th games, I've got to give a shout out to my co-commentator, Jake, at Sutherland, because Illawarra this weekend will be his 100th NBL1 game commentating. So shout out to Jake. He's put up with me for 97 of those games. So good on him.
That's the real achievement.
Oh, 100%.
All right. Yeah, anything before we wrap up, Lockie?
Don't sleep on the East.